Good morning, people. My old dust collection system worked just moderately, as you can see in the video. Half of the wood dust ended up on the floor. Which is why I had to think of a way to collect the dust in the future. The solution in this video is not really nice, and it's actually only for testing purposes. In addition to the dust collection, the workbench got an extra base as storage for the tools, as you can see right now, and also some rollers. The rollers made it possible to move the whole workbench afterwards. For the base, I simply screwed planed boards into the lowest level of the workbench. Here I used my old hand plane to bring the last board in the row to the right width. Of course I could have just taken the board out again and cut it to the right width, but I somehow like working with the hand plane. Now it was time to assemble the table saw. For this I placed the saw on the workbench and I aligned it as accurately as possible at 90-degree angle. I used an angle and a measuring tool for this purpose. Then I drew the outline of the circular saw on the tabletop. Then I sawed out the marked shape with a jigsaw. I rounded off the corners a little with a file. I also sanded the cutting edges with an orbital sander. When I tried to place the circular saw under the tabletop, I noticed that the circular saw was wider at the bottom than at the top, and I also couldn't just insert the circular saw underneath. So I had to lower the base plate again. Fortunately, one side was enough for the task. If you look closely, you can see that the table saw does not fit exactly in height. The reason for this is that I wanted to build the workbench in such a way that when I decide to change the saw to another saw, I can be sure that I have enough room for other types of saws. To achieve the right height, I used 4 of these USB boards, which were placed under each corner of the circular saw. To be on the safe side, I also screwed them in place. Now for the dust collection. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this construction is only supposed to be a practical test. If it shows that the concept works sufficiently, I will rebuild this part again. In order to catch the wood dust that will not be extracted by the saw, I drilled 22mm holes directly under the machine so that the wood dust falls through these holes. Hopefully. As you can see here, my screwdriver started to smoke shortly before I finished. I think it was a bit too much for him. Fortunately, it still operates. Apart from the holes, I also needed a container. I built the container out of simply chipboard leftovers and the remains of an old MDF board I had at the shop. And again, I know it really doesn't look beautiful. As you can see, I sealed the whole thing with a hot glue gun. After a sufficient test time, I will let you know if this construction worked well. Finally, I mounted a small base and a small wheel at each corner. If you liked the video, you can leave me a subscribe, I would appreciate it.